Welcome to Inside AFIMSC, a podcast bringing Air Force leaders to listeners around the world. And I'm Veronica Kemeny. I'm with AFIMSC PA, and today I'm joined by Colonel Brent Hyden. He's the director of the Tyndall Program Management Office. He's a general engineer with an MBA, and he has been leading the recovery here at Tyndall. Sir, welcome.
Thank you very much, Veronica. I'm really glad to be here this morning with you.
So you are about to wrap up your TDY here at Tyndall. How many months have you been here leading the recovery?
It's been just about 5 months. It's been an excellent trip. It's been truly an opportunity of a lifetime for an engineer to come here and rebuild an entire base. We've not done this, and my career in the Air Force is not something we've done anywhere else.
And what is your normal day job? Because you are actually a reservist, so what do you normally do?
I'm a GS employee of the Air Force on the air staff. I will be going back to actually a little bit different job on the air staff. I'm going to be the division chief for MILCON and facility policy, working for General Allen on the air staff.
And what's been the best part of being here at Tyndall? From day one to 5 months later, what have you seen change?
This has been real world impacts of work that we do. This has been a unique experience, as I mentioned a minute ago. But what's really different about it is that we're spending money here. We're doing things that really matter. Seeing flash to bang of decisions we make and bringing contracts on board. Seeing construction go on the ground. Happens really quickly with the pace of recovery that's needed at Tyndall. We've really been. It's really exciting to see all the effects that we're able to drive quickly, and that pace is. It's just, I like to think of it as downhill skiing. You may not know if there's snow on the mountain in front of you, but if you're on a black diamond route going down the mountain, you got to go fast. There's no point in going slow. You may not be able to see around the corner if the trail even continues, but you got to go fast, and that's what we're doing here in the PMO. We have been since day one, before my time and after my time. This is a very fast flash to bang, and the Air Force needs Tyndall to be recovered. The people of Tyndall need to, the people and missions here at Tyndall need to mission reconstitution to continue with through the repair, the long-term design and construction programs that we've put into place. And the people of Panama City are a key constituency here for this program, which is frankly the Air Force is here because this is the key national defense priority.
And that was one of my questions: was why is Tyndall so important?
Now, Tyndall is Tyndall is the place where we generate air power. Fighters, particularly fifth generation fighters, the airspace immediately offshore, as well as some overland airspace, is unique. We don't have access to this kind of airspace. The proximity, the immediate adjacency is unique anywhere in the Air Force. We don't have access to this. So, Colonel Laidlaw is on record talking extensively about how valuable this airspace is, and I am I let him talk about that as a pilot, as an engineer. I kind of repeat his talking points.
That's a question I was going to ask you as well. The PMO, the relationship that the Tyndall PMO has with the 325th Fighter Wing. You've worked hand in hand with the Wing Commander, Colonel Brian Laidlaw, and it's a special relationship. Do you want to talk about that? A pilot with the engineer.
Yeah. So the relationship of the PMO, we are a tenant organization here, but we are doing things that is enabling the 325th Fighter Wing's missions to come back. They have welcomed me as a person, and organizationally, the PMO is we are a part of the wing staff. We are integral to how they've been recovering mission, and so they got me at the table in the staff meetings, integrating. He values very much. Colonel Laidlaw very much values my advice, and I've got a 24-hour relationship with him if I need to get him on the phone. Not that I do call him at 3 a.m, but he would
Air Force brother.
take my phone call. He knows and trusts. We got a good trust relationship. That's very valuable to me as I work things at this breakneck pace that we've been developing things in the PMO.
And I know yesterday you and I were looking at numbers of buildings, and 108 have been repaired of 130. Are those numbers just amazing to you, what the PMO has been able to do with the people you have underneath you?
Absolutely astounding. It's it's staggering if you step back and the numbers. It's hard to really they're abstract. It's hard to actually see those in all in the context of the hurricane. But let me talk a little bit about the numbers a little bit. There were 485 facilities on this installation before the hurricane. Every one of those suffered some amount of damage during the hurricane, and ultimately we were able to save about half, almost exactly half. The other half will eventually need to be demolished, and so within those half that have to be so there's a lot of them that need to be repaired, and we have done an amazing amount of repair work in that half that has to be repaired. We've also repaired some of them that have to ultimately be demolished. Perfect example is several of the hangars on the flight line that needed temporary roofs so that we can start using them to support the ongoing flight line operations here. The half of the buildings that we can save, we've done a lot of temporary repairs in those, some expedient things in order to get the missions back up and get airmen and mission reconstitution happening back here on Tyndall. Some of those we skipped the expedient repair and went right to the permanent repair. A perfect example of that is the F-22 simulator building, which is a national asset to the pipeline of pilots that the F-22 fleet needs. Those simulators to be the 22 or 24 simulators. I forget exactly how many are in that building. That supports production of F-22 proficiency throughout the fleet. So skip to the other half of the facilities that will ultimately have to be demolished. We have done some repairs to those, but as we get MILCON money flowing to the base, which is the supplemental was signed last week, that's a key data point because we'll have FY19 supplemental, we'll have FY20 wedge funding within the FY20.
Explain what a wedge is for our listeners.
So that's a marker that OSD put into the budget for FY20, and we're anticipating that that'll get us about 2/3 of the construction money that we need, the MILCON construction money that we need for the full build-out of Tyndall. And so there will likely be an additional wedge in FY21, although that's not all fully worked out.
So you're excited that the supplemental was signed. I know that was important. And so exactly, what does that mean for Tyndall now? So
my time here, I have spent, my main task was, as I took the baton from my predecessor, from Colonel Scott Matthews, my task was to put in place the long-term design and construction capability, the persistent design and construction capability to execute that MILCON and the longer-term repairs of the facilities that we could repair. So we did that. We put a lot of things into place that a lot of relationships with the Corps of Engineers, a lot of who was our execution agent for this money. A lot of things that we, frankly, I use the term that we're getting in the starting blocks, getting ready to sprint for executing those the big MILCON money. Acquisition research that's ongoing right now, engagement with industry, preparing relationships, preparing ideas, the big installation development plan that I'll tell you about in a minute, talking about what the rebuild looks like. All of those things, putting those into place has been really what I've been targeting during my time here, and seeing the supplemental come through kind of towards the end of my time here is it's an opportunity to start that sprint. Frankly, we didn't just create the machine; we started it moving here, and so it's a great validation of a lot of the things that we've done. That we can see the machine starting to sprint, if you will. And I say starting the sprint, it's really a change in nature of the sprint that was initiated by my predecessors. They were doing a lot of the really important, critical, bring airplanes back, bring airmen back to this base that enabled us to do the planning and emplacement of the longer term design and construction mission planning.
You've also had a successful industry day under your belt, and recently you met with our civic leaders downtown, or our chamber downtown, where we hosted the local contractors. You're trying to get industry ready to join our team. What do you want to tell industry about Tyndall Air Force Base?
So key partnerships. We could not rebuild this installation without both the really good ideas that come from industry on how to do contracting. This is a unique challenge here. So the ideas that come from industry on how we should put together these contract relationships, as well as technology ideas. We in the Air Force have been operating air bases for a while, but as mentioned, we're not rebuilding really cutting edge things anywhere. So this is an opportunity for us to ask questions and learn about what the right installation of the future technology injects are, and those come from industry. How does industry do this? How does industry rebuild a $2.6 billion campus? Those are key questions, and we've listened. Frankly, we under the federal acquisition regulations, it's really not possible for us to use a single. As the project owner, we use agents to contract for and to design agents, construction agents. It's really not possible for us to do a single prime contractor to do it all for us. So the PMO is here to identify the right agents, and as we've got it laid out with the major MILCON aggregated into 12 different zones. That's really in order to meet the pace of the construction that we need to meet with first aircraft arrival of the F-35 by September of 2023. That's really aggressive. That's a $2.6 billion of construction that hasn't yet been designed that we need to get into construction quickly. And oh, by the way, this is an operational airbase now and going forward. This is not. We don't have the opportunity to take the airplanes out of this airbase and shut things down while we go and rebuild. This is too important of an airbase, so we are going to continue flight operations throughout, and we can absolutely do that. The way we do that is using ideas from industry, using sequencing, and
I wanted to ask you too, because leading up to our industry day that we had, there was the call to white papers. We had 100 white papers that were submitted. What was that like to get all these ideas from industry? That seemed very cutting edge to me.
Absolutely. So we crafted the request for white papers into 5 different categories and intentionally asked for unconstrained ideas. Anything that didn't fit one of the 4 categories. The 5th category was really much an unconstrained pool. But I learned a lot. I read all the white papers, and there were some really good ideas that we've carried forward into both some process, program management, contracting, process things, as well as resiliency, as well as some other really good categories that have been important to build into the program.
So talk about that, because you have been a founding father to this 21st century Air Force base that we are trying to build here. It's never been done, and you're doing it. So talk about that and what we're going to do.
I'm going to go into a little depth on this. As mentioned, I'm a GS-15 on the air staff, and in a previous life, not that long ago, I was working on the installation of the future concept team on the chief of engineers on the air staff. We we had a lot of great ideas, did a lot of really good think pieces on how we would rebuild, what kinds of things we would do to build